Welcome, everybody. So I'm here today just to do a quick lightning talk on how we can apply AI across the whole deployment lifecycle. First, there's a lot of benefits to applying AI, as we know, recently with the news of ChatGPT, even like last summer. And how can we apply AI really for helping us get deployments out? First, we can use them to help author Cypher queries. Second, we can help them understand like a query that we wrote even last week or someone gave us. How can we understand what it's trying to do? I'll give you some examples of that. Lastly, we can apply vector indices for our Cypher queries. Next, we want to be able to analyze the data that's returned from our Cypher queries and present that to our business leaders and decision makers. Lastly, we want to have some flexibility in how we retrieve data, and that can be as easy as prompting the user. What sort of movies do you want to see, for example? And lastly, how to apply retrieval augmented generation for the analysis. So all these different benefits we can combine to gain insights. Here's an example report that we can do, and we use Cypher authoring and query assistance to get us the data. We then retrieve the data and format it in a nice way for the decision makers. And lastly, we can apply the RAG concept to provide further insights on what was retrieved. So Neo4j and generative AI has a lot of challenges with the legacy tools, mainly because a lot of them are very SQL-centric, and here we're going to use the Cypher language. And second, they really want tabular homogeneous results versus the graph data that we're used to in the Neo4j worlds. So Carbine, that we'll see momentarily going through these aspects across the lifecycle, we're able to natively apply Cypher queries and AI. We can handle those complex graph data results, and the net is we can deliver very high quality analytics to the decision makers.
Hi, Bill. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm not sure if you're meant to be showing any slides or not, but we can't. We only see you. If you can hit the go to stage, there should be another one flashing.
There's a
Or
leave
share.
stage.
No. Share screen.
I do not see that. I see a leave a stage. There's a stage. There's a mic. There's a camera. Very odd. A screen. Let's go there. Let's try this.
I believe it is the screen.
Yeah, let's see if that helps.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. We will do a quick rewind. And I didn't realize I was not sharing. I apologize, folks. So let's do this. So some of this stuff I already went through. So this is the picture that we'll see downstream of how we sort of pull together the different pieces. And Damien, I'm assuming you see all this now. So with AI applied to helping us author the Cypher queries, to be able to explain the Cypher queries, to then apply Gen AI for the vector queries, format the results, and then again applying the retrieval augmented generation to provide further insights for what we're getting. So again, the legacy tools are sort of challenged with SQL versus Cypher, and the whole graph data concept is really foreign to them because they really want tabular results. Okay, so there's a very nice answer set out in the wild that we can provide a link to, that is the movies information in the graph data sense. So the visualizations are really quite useful, and that gives us overall context. But what's important then at times is really drill into the details. So let's look at ML, let's look at Hugo, let's look at the details behind the matrix. What's its revenue, things like that, information about the nodes and their relationships. And we'll see how we can sort of combine both the high level visualization and also the details behind those nodes to really help provide insights to the decision makers. So first we need context. So this is one of the little snippets from the Carbine world providing us information about the movie nodes. To the right, we see some of the hints about directions of the relationships. So an actor has acted in a movie is in a genre, things like that. And this information we can use context for ourselves, but we can also apply it to the AI to help us query the information that we want using the Cypher language. So one of the tools in the Carbine world is a data source designer, and our goal is to find all the movies in which Sean Connery has acted in. So we can just click the button, we get this data assistant dialog up, and we'll go and type in, find all the movies in which Sean Connery has acted in. As part of the context that we'll send to the AI at the back end, it'll be that structure of the movie and the relationships. Now, the assistant OpenAI is a configured AI assistant in the Carbine world. In this case, not surprisingly, it actually hits OpenAI, but we support Vertex and Bedrock and everything like that. And you can define multiple ones of these, and that's really important because different models are good at different things. They have different dimensions, and we'll see that as well. So we're going to click the send prompt, get our answer out of OpenAI. There it is. So that's our query. It's going to be correct. Now we can easily just set the query and run it back in the Carbine world, and voila, there we are. So very quickly. So this is a very simple example. There's some more complex ones coming up. Okay, filled in query, there's our results. So if you were to look at the Cypher results, they're not homogeneous tabular things. They're very complex JSON structures. So here, our plot embedding, for example, is 1,536 dimensions, and post embedding has 512 numbers as part of its embedding. And for the most part, the legacy tools are really going to not deal well with this structure. Okay, so here's another way. Simple query at first, explain the query. So we're going to take that query, give it to OpenAI. It's going to provide us with a simple explanation. So this is like fairly straightforward. But let's do this one. What's that do? Well, again, we can ask AI, explain this, and it'll come back with an answer. So that's the querying side of things. The second thing we want to do with AI is really leverage the vector similarity indices. So in this case, our movies has a plot index and a posters embedding as well. And there are different sizes as we noted. And important, no matter what you do, whenever you use vector queries, make sure your models are in alignment. Otherwise, things don't matter. It's not just dimensions, but it's the actual model. So here, we're going to have the vector embedding dynamically inserted by Carbine. And there's our answer. If we look at one of the rows, one of them is the vampire comes to England. Okay. So with Carbine, there's a flow of being able to prompt the user to get some values. Those values can go to a data source, which applies a query like we just saw. That information then flows to the template, which defines how we format things. So in this case, we have our query, and a little snippet is that little placeholder. So we can run a Carbine prompt. The user can type stuff in. That Dracula value will go there. We'll go at our server side, obtain the embedding for that, insert that into the query to obtain the final query, and then it'll all run. And here's our answer, okay? We can format things, totals, subtotals, all sorts of combinations, sort of a combination of Microsoft Word formatting, Excel type formulas, and PowerPoint layouts, all wrapped up into one. The last thing we want to do as part of the whole life cycle is ask AI for some RAG type commentary, okay? So again, the Carbine templates are there to define how we process that data that's being returned. Again, it's not tabular, it's fairly complex. So in the Carbine world, in the template, you can create this macro. So I want the AI to look at the listings that we just retrieved and comment on it, on their similarities and revenues in this case. And lo and behold, there it is. So this type of analysis we can apply to stock analysis, any type of analysis in our business, and it's a simple one-liner. Okay. The other benefit is with all this AI that's out there after we work hard to get the stuff we want with Cypher and format everything, we can embed this capability within our actual applications. So for the end users, it's just the app. Your application, let's say the blue stuff, can drive Carbine the yellow. Likewise, in the Carbine world, there can be interactive buttons that then call back into your application, maybe that adjust the bottom right in the red square. So for the end user, it just flows. And they gain all those AI type of insights and vector query benefits that you can provide. So in summary, here we can use AI to help us author the Cypher queries, explain existing ones, use AI to generate the vector embeddings, which then we use in our queries. We get the graph data back, format it however we want, present the information, and lastly, be able to apply the context that's coming out right then in that report and ask AI certain questions. We can have very complex prompts. In the example I gave, it was a fairly straightforward one, but as you know from probably a lot of webinars, prompt engineering is a little bit of an art and a science, and they can be quite complex. So thank you for attending this session. My contact information is in the bottom right. You can probably find me. And if there's any questions or comments, look forward to answering any of them.